So this presentation is a pictorial illustration of the various post-harvest operations at the Rose Project, a dozen roses. So in this case here, the rose crop is in full production with some buds ready for harvest. And the roses are harvested at an immature stage, not when they're fully open. So some of the flowers are harvested when the calyx sepals are reflexing, and in winter with slower development, the flowers are harvested slightly more open. The stage of harvest also depends on the time and distance to markets, harvesting more immature for longer times and longer distances. In the case of the project A Dozen Roses, the flowers are harvested into buckets. These are filled with a preservative solution. They're then placed on a trolley in the greenhouse once they've been harvested. And the harvested roses are placed in the preservative solution, and obviously each cultivar is kept separate. Once the trolley is full, it's transported to the cold room, which is at the pack shed, and waste products are binned and then transported to a safe disposal site. Ideally, the roses should not be exposed to the heat and sun after harvest during removal from the greenhouse. A shaded walkway would be ideal. And obviously this is not what to do. Don't leave the flowers out in the sun unattended, because that certainly has an effect on the vase life of the flowers. So Dozen Roses has a separate pack shed, which is air conditioned. And inside the pack shed is a small cold room. The freshly cut flowers are carried into the cold room, and this is to remove what we call the field heat, and that helps to prolong the rose's vase life. This is what the cold room looks like inside. And the freshly cut flowers are placed on shelves or on trolleys inside the cold room, and the roses remain in the cold room. And then bucket by bucket, they are taken out to the handling facility in the pack shed. And on the left of the picture are roses that have been through the pack shed, graded and bunched, and placed back into the preservative solution, back into the cold room. And this obviously preserves the cold chain, and this obviously contributes to a long vase life. Each bucket is removed from the cold room in small batches or one at a time, and then the pre-cooled flowers are run across this grading conveyor table, and this automatically sizes the flowers by flower stem length, and this uses laser technology. The rose stems are individually put through a leaf stripping machine to remove the lower leaves. And this is the front view of the leaf stripper. The flower stems have their bottom leaves stripped off, and that's for easier handling, bunching, and elasticizing. And it obviously contributes to a more hygienic vase life. No rotting leaves in the water in the vase in which they are placed. So once sized, the flowers are placed in size consistent batches in containers, also containing a preservative solution. These are then wheeled into the bunching area, and these flowers are actually waiting for the bunching process. Once sized and stripped, the flowers are laid on a soft surface, in this case here old speedling trays made of polystyrene, and they are bunched with the heads aligned. So not all stems are exactly the same length. but they are grouped into ranges. For example, 31 to 40, 41 to 50. And this is an automated elastic banding machine. And this is my daughter demonstrating how it works. In this case here, the bunch is ready for elastic banding. Once bunched, the uneven ends are cut to specific lengths according to the size or to the market requirement. And here we see the operator placing bunched roses into the cutter to trim the ends so that all roses in the bunch are exactly the same length. Once bunched and banded, the bunched stems are placed into holding containers, again in preservative solution, and put back into the cold store. These bunches are waiting to be delivered to customers. Many varieties are grown on this project, a dozen roses, and that's to meet the market needs. These were the current favorite colors when I took the pictures, and the problem is with the rose industry is the market requirement for colors changes constantly, and growers are forever having to replant, replace cultivars with the latest and greatest colors, shapes and sizes. So each bunch on this project, a dozen roses, has a dozen roses, and obviously that's where it gets its name from. All the top projects, rose producers continually run trials on different cultivars, and they also conduct regular vase life trials. So these are some more vase life trials done by external agencies, in this case done at CSU with the help of my daughter. So not all their roses are sold as a dozen roses bunched. Many are used in flower arrangements, and that obviously adds value to the products. This business has tried to be as vertically integrated as possible, avoiding the middleman's commissions, and so they have their own on-farm florist shop. So this is the florist display in the florist shop, displaying bunches of roses in the middle and value-added products in the background and in the foreground. So this is a display of roses on the florist outlet floor, waiting for customers to come in and collect. Each bunch of 12 is individually wrapped in front of the customer, while the counter salesperson explains how to care for the flowers once they get home. And these are the bunches that are now wrapped and ready to go. They have the business's business card taped to the bunch, and they also have a little packet of preservative solution which is given to the customer, and the customer's shown how to use it. Other ways of adding value and therefore increasing profit are using cards, balloons and floral mixes, and these are all parts of the florist shop at a dozen roses. These pictures are just illustrating other arrangements that a dozen roses do. They do wreaths, weddings, and all of these add value and contribute to a reasonable profit for the business. And so this is their company logo, and as I said earlier, each bunch as a business card with this company logo. And if you have a look, there's a little ladybug, and that's demonstrating that this particular business practices integrated pest management.